Well, here in Valley, I mean, we got the opportunity to work in so many different communication mediums, and in today's world, I mean, people can get their information from almost any area, whether that be internet webcasts, whether it be podcasts, whether it be internet web pages and newspaper, and I think it's important to have a balance of all those different mediums in order to present your information in any way possible, because I mean, you don't know who's going to be out there reading your newspaper or listening to your webcast, and any of these people their lives could depend on what you're saying or what you're writing, and so I think it's important that we get the chance to work in these different mediums just to make sure that we're touching everybody out there, because everybody doesn't read the newspaper, everybody doesn't read the internet every morning, but if we get all these areas covered, I think we have a good shot of touching somebody's lives out there. So
I'm planning on pursuing a career in film, and it's really important to be a team player and just be able to collaborate with other people in that industry, and that's something I've learned to do well in the communications department.
I think as a Christian, one of the biggest ways that we can love other people is by telling them the truth, whether that's about an issue going on at school or something going on abroad, or the salvation story that Christ offers us.
Going through the communications department, I've had a chance to learn about the power of visual imagery and just what that can communicate. It's a very powerful medium, and it can communicate in a lot of different ways than other forms of communication can, and so I think I'll be taking that with me into my profession, hopefully, which will be film.
Well, especially through interviewing, you ask a lot of questions, and you have to learn how to ask the right kinds of questions and not the questions that will seem nagging and will seem like we're putting the other person down, but rather letting them open up to us, that we understand we're getting down to their level and getting them to feel comfortable. And once they're comfortable, that's when we can open up with our beliefs and sharing them the most wonderful news ever of Jesus Christ.
one of the aspects of being a newspaper editor is knowing your audience and what's important to them and what's not. And it's important to discern what they want to read and what they need to hear when you're doing a newspaper, and I think that concept applies to greater communication when you're talking to someone, when you're trying to tell them about your Lord and Savior or something like that. You need to know what's important to them, you need to know where they're coming from, you need to know what they need and want to hear in order to get that point across. So I think that's a very good application for what we've done here at the newspaper.
Hollywood's a place where people don't really get to see too many Christians, and I think it's just important to be able to live out my faith there, and I think that Valley Christian in the communications department has taught me how to really live that out.
Well, as a writer and a journalist, I think it's important to understand the ethics of journalism, and those ethics require an exceptional degree of integrity, and we write articles, and I often write opinions articles, and it's extremely necessary that I first of all have the ability to get people to trust me, and then after that maintain their trust and not deceive them with how I'm giving an angle on a story or offering a snapshot of reality. And so I think those same skills are fundamental to how we help other people understand the message of Christ.
Well, so what I've learned here in terms of how to communicate the gospel to other people is that it's important to understand what you're saying and be able to communicate that in a fashion that they can understand. I think when it comes to the gospel, a lot of times people can get turned off or confused by how somebody's saying it, or they don't understand what you're trying to say or how you're trying to communicate that. So here at Valley, you get the opportunity to learn how to communicate in a better fashion, and when that comes to the gospel, that's hugely important, obviously, because that's when people's salvation comes into play, and learning how to communicate that kind of thing is of the utmost importance.